lineup. You, of course, started the 5 seniors on Senior Day. What do you do tonight here in St. Louis?
Yeah, we'll go back to what we have been starting prior to Senior Day and keep our rotations the way we've been doing down the stretch.
So who starts out on Tyreek Key?
Josh Hall. Josh Hall does a great job. Looking forward to watching him guard him, use his length, use his size, use his competitiveness, and make things difficult.
And so here we are, 31 games into the season, and not ideal that things have come into form late, but seems like they have, that you've got guys figuring out their roles and working well together.
Well, we've put ourselves in a position, three games in 3 days, which is the ultimate goal in our conference at the moment. And as you mentioned before, our number 1 seed is barely hanging on, and they had a tremendous year. So we've kind of started a new season, but we want to continue to do the things that we were doing at the end of the last one, and we don't want to take anything for granted. It's been an emotional week for our guys. They're very grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to watching them go out there and play with a lot of passion.
Well, and I know, this wasn't necessarily representing a change, but at some point in the season, a lot of coaches react to what the other teams do, and you have to be cognizant of that. But you're talking more about imposing your will on them and doing what you do best.
We're trying to keep things simple and just play hard. And be assignment correct and help each other, and then try to be difficult to guard on the other end. You always have to pay attention to what the other team's doing, but you don't make your whole game plan around that. And we've done that the latter part of the season. Our guys have responded very well. But when you play hard, you can do that. You can worry about yourself when you play hard, but the issues become when you're not really getting after it. But I'm looking forward to seeing our guys get after it. They've been getting after it, and I wouldn't expect anything else.
And, of course, Kabir Muhammad really gave you a great game on Senior Day. Does he earn some minutes maybe tonight?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody's available tonight. This is a winner-go-home situation. I mean, all hands are on deck, and we'll be going all in anytime we need to.
Dana, thanks. Good luck.
Thanks, sir.
Coach Dana Ford, this has been the DoubleTree by Hilton Springfield Visit with the Coach. DoubleTree by Hilton at Glenstone and Kearney, where a warm cookie always awaits your arrival. When we come back, Shane Freeby has an update on news and scores from around the country during the Hy-Vee Countdown to Tip-Off show. This is Missouri State basketball from Learfield IMG College.
This Missouri State Bears broadcast is brought to you in part by proud Missouri State Bears athletic sponsor, Murney Associates Realtors, locally owned, internationally recognized. Find your next home on Murney.com from your desktop, tablet, or mobile device. Remember, when you need to make a move, call Murney Associates Realtors at 823-2300. That's 823-2300. It's your best play.
Whether you're after spring turkey or fish in the rivers or on open waters, get outfitted for success at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. With premium brands like Blackout, Redhead, and Johnny Moore's, we'll equip you with the right gear for any adventure. In our stores, you can test the flex on a fishing rod and get that boat tuned precisely where you need it. Plus, get excellent advice from our outfitters. Come in today or shop online for a wide selection of products. Experience it for yourself at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
It's your month, America, because this is Ford Truck Month. Your month for great deals on legendary Ford trucks like F-150, Super Duty, and Ranger. Your month to drive Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks 43 years straight. Your month for big-time power, off-road capability, and turning heads around town. Your month to, well, you get the idea.
Based on 1977 through 2019 calendar year total sales.
Great deals, tough trucks. Oh, yeah, it's Ford Truck Month, all right.
Studio report, ready for an upgrade? Get a Great Southern loan. Great Southern Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. We will start our Missouri State Sports Update with the Murney Associates Realtors Student Athlete of the Week, and this week it is Malia Watkins. She is a freshman on the track team out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and she is majoring in exercise and movement science. Malia was named Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year after collecting 3 medals, including 2 silver, at the league's indoor championship this past weekend. Making her debut at the Valley Meet, the freshman sprinter finished third in the 60-meter dash and second in the 200-meter dash. In the final event of the competition, Watkins ran the closing leg of the MSU 4x400-meter relay team that placed second and boosted the Bears to a third-place finish in the team standings. Missouri State University student-athletes attained an overall GPA of 3.06 during the last academic year. There were 36 student-athletes who graduated with honors and 28 graduate degrees. Put the power of Murney Associates Realtors to work for you when buying or selling your next home. With award-winning technology and marketing and the largest network in Southwest Missouri, Murney Associates Realtors is your best move. Well, JQH was rocking last night as 6 players scored in double figures, and number 21 Missouri State hit a season-high 11 three-pointers to claim its first Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship since 2012 with an 85-70 win over Valparaiso at JQH Arena. The Lady Bears clinched at least a share of their 13th regular season title since 1990 and the number 1 seed in next week's Missouri Valley Conference tournament, all while improving to 14-0 at the Q this season ahead of tomorrow's 2 o'clock Senior Day contest against Loyola. Behind a 4-run first inning and the pitching of Logan Wiley, Missouri State opened its 2020 home season in style with a 6-2 victory over Maine this afternoon at Hammons Field. Dakota Katowski had a 3-run homer, and it punctuated the Bears' big opening inning before Wiley limited Maine to 5 hits in 7 scoreless innings. The bullpen came in and gave up the 2 lone runs. Game 2 is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Paced by individual victories from Pavel Kracek and Arthur Curry, Missouri State's men's swimming and diving broke the team score deadlock with a big 248-point effort on Day 2 of the Mid-America Conference Championship last night. They are currently 1 spot ahead of Miami University of Ohio. And Missouri State's beach volleyball team opened a challenging weekend in Texas, losing to Alabama Birmingham and number 17 Arizona at the Fight in the 4 by TCU. Missouri State takes on 2 more ranked opponents tomorrow, facing number 1 LSU at 9 and 16th ranked TCU at 11. Softball also split today with a win over Murray State and a loss to number 14 Oklahoma State. It will be a massively busy day tomorrow in Missouri Valley or in Missouri State games as 11 events on the calendar. It all gets started at 9 o'clock in the morning, as we mentioned, as beach volleyball takes on LSU in the Fight in the Fort. They will follow that up with the 11 o'clock game at TCU. Softball plays at noon against Murray State. That is in the Mizuno Classic in Norman, Oklahoma. Men's soccer will take on Oral Roberts University in Claremore, Oklahoma. That's scheduled for a 1 o'clock game tomorrow afternoon. We mentioned the Bears baseball team takes on Maine at 2. Women's soccer with a game against University of Missouri St. Louis at 2. If you are around town tomorrow afternoon, make sure you come out for Senior Day for the Lady Bears, as it is half-price tickets. They take on Loyola at 2 o'clock. Men's soccer takes on Rogers State University at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then softball finishes up the evening at 5 o'clock with a game against Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma. Go back to scores on the payroll company scoreboard. Visit paydaysmadeeasy.com. Another look at the game that is going on in St. Louis at last check with 13 seconds left. Valparaiso has gone on top of Loyola Chicago 72-71. Again, that is with 13 seconds left in the overtime frame. A win for Wofford over the Citadel, 93-76. Belmont with a 10-point lead over Eastern Kentucky. That is in the Ohio Valley Conference semifinal matchup. Again, that is with 7:58 left in the second half. They have reached halftime in the Big South semifinal. Radford trails Hampton by a score of 39-34. Major League Baseball playing today, as a couple of games are underway right now. 3 games to be exact. The Marlins on top of the Nationals 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. In the top of the 5th, the Dodgers lead the Mariners 3-1, and they are scoreless in the top of the 4th between the Rangers and the Padres. Finals from today: the Braves top the Red Sox 7-5. Phillies blanked the Tigers 9-0. Twins over the Rays 5-3. In what looks like more of a football score than a baseball score, the Pirates in a slugfest over the Blue Jays 19-13. Glad they tacked on that extra touchdown late. The Reds 11-5 over to the Athletics, and it was a tie between the Brew Crew and the Giants 5-5. White Sox over the Cubs 6-3. Royals over the Angels 4-3. And the Athletics, a one-run winner over the Indians 7-6. Another tie game between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks 6-6. The Royals also tied with the Angels 4-4, and the Astros over the Mets 3-2. One last final, the Orioles with a win 5-1 over the Yankees. End of the overtime period, Valparaiso, a winner over Loyola Chicago. So UNI, the number 1 seed, they fall in the early matchup today. The number 2 seed, Loyola, after Valparaiso won in the play-in game last night, ends up dropping their game. So Loyola Chicago now 21-10, 13-5 in the Valley, and their run through the Valley tournament complete. For Illinois Chicago, Keith Clemens, 28 points and 2 boards. John Kaiser finished with 12 points and 8 rebounds for Valparaiso. So the extended pregame show continues on after this. We will head back to St. Louis, get an update from Art and Mike as they prepare for the Bears game tonight against Indiana State. This is Missouri State Bears basketball from Learfield IMG College.
Bear Up. It's made every day by Missouri State Bears. At University Plaza Hotel and Convention Center, we're committed to that same excellence. As Springfield's only premier full-service convention hotel located in the heart of downtown, you can experience luxury accommodations, personalized service, and upscale dining just minutes from the action at Missouri State University, Springfield Expo Center, and historic Walnut Street. Visit them at upspringfield.com. University Plaza, where local and luxury meet.
The Bears and Lady Bears are heating up the hardwoods this basketball season. Don't miss a minute of the action in the latest bearwear from your Missouri State bookstore and team store. From Adidas, the official on-court brand, to Under Armour, Nike, Champion, Russell, and Men's. Be in style this basketball season. Can't make it to the games? You can shop 24/7 on our website at MissouriStateBookstore.com.
What matters most, as our clients have always been our number 1 priority. That's why American National agents treat you like family, because family comes first. To learn more, connect with a local agent at AmericanNational.com.
Haynes and Mike Kemner at the Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. And as Shane was telling you, the second shocker of the day has just concluded with Valparaiso in overtime, edging Loyola Chicago 74-73. So an historic day, and Mike, we'll put that in perspective in a moment. But things could not be falling into place better for Missouri State. Now, the Bears have got to hold up their end of the bargain, but right now we've got the 8-seed Drake against the 4-seed Bradley in one semi. We've got the 7-seed Valparaiso awaiting the winner of this game in the other semifinal tomorrow at 5 o'clock. It's been a day of upsets. Only one time ever during this tournament format in St. Louis has a play-in team winner from Thursday night won even one more game. And it's happened twice today as the 1-seed Northern Iowa is out and the 2-seed Loyola is out.
Well, last year the league, the winner teams that tied for first in the conference race had 6 losses. And that is the first time ever that the winner had 6 losses. This year, the winner had 4, Northern Iowa, who is gone. But the home teams in the league had the highest win percentage during conference season ever. And, when you get to a neutral site like this, you would say, well, at home, these teams are pretty good. This is a neutral site, and obviously there's not that much difference. We've got an 8 and a 7 and a 4 in the semis so far. Bears are 6. Why not add a 6 to that? but that just tells you how close these teams are matched and have been throughout the year. And the home court has been a huge determining factor of everyone's record and the final standings. And we know all year long there were bunches of teams right there in the middle. And Northern Iowa and Loyola kind of distanced themselves early at the top, but Illinois State and Evansville kind of distanced themselves at the bottom. Everybody else, it was fluid week to week, game to game.
Well, so the lowest seed ever to win this tournament was a 5. It's happened twice, and Bradley last year was one of them. So now we could very well have a situation win. We're going to have a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 4 left in the field for the semifinals on Saturday. So incredible in a year in which, as you said, really the home teams in the regular conference games have won at an historic pace, the biggest winning percentage in the country of any Division I program for home teams. But now on the neutral floor, we've seen some shockers here today.
Well, exactly. And, one of the things, and I have not seen this, we'll get them shortly. In fact, we're getting them right now from this game. And sure enough, this is held true. In any of the games yet to be played, 2 last night and the 3 today, no team has shot over 50% for the game except Drake. And Drake's done it twice. And I just wonder, and I'll throw this out there, I realize Loyola, I guess, could go to the United Center and practice, but you get a facility like this where there's a huge difference depth perception-wise that you don't have in a college arena. And it's deeper, it's different, the crowds are larger, and but I wonder with Drake's case, they've got the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. The Iowa Wolves play there in the G League, and you just wonder if maybe sometime during the year they get in there and get some shots. They're the only team shot over 50% in the 5 games that have been played so far in the Valley Tournament, and they have done it twice. And to their credit, they have gotten hot, obviously, at the right time in upsetting Northern Iowa, the number 1 seed.
Well, Loyola had a big lead. They led by 18 points with 15 minutes left in their game against Valparaiso, and Valpo came back with a hail of 3-pointers. They made 10 for the game, and they made 2 in the final minute of regulation, including a game-tying 3 that sent the game on into overtime. There was a succession of tremendous plays late in the overtime in which Valparaiso had gotten a stop. Cameron Krutwig missed inside. Loyola was going to have the lead in the ball. Valparaiso, it was just an incredible final sequence, but it ended up being a layup by Aaron Gordon, who went backdoor and got a feed from a defender who drawn a double team. He scored the winning points with about 4 seconds left in overtime as Valparaiso stuns Loyola by 1.
And Ryan Fazekas, who hit that tying basket that you're talking about, the 3, went 5 of 8 from 3, 5 of 10 for the game, but 5 of 8 from behind the arc. And Javon Freeman Liberty, who against the Bears at the Q, went 4 of 18 and 1 of 10 from 3.
And they lost.
And they lost to us. He did not play at Valpo.
And they won.
And they won by 16. And tonight he goes 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. But he did play 32 of the 45 minutes. So interesting dynamic there with minutes and who's playing. As we have talked about, sometimes people step up. And you mentioned in our game with them that Saki had played well against the Bears. Tonight he goes 5 of 12 against Loyola, and he's got 3 assists and a steal, and he ends up with 13 points, and he also had 6 rebounds. And just solid guard play by Saki here down the stretch for the Valpo Crusaders. Played well against the Bears as well a couple of weeks ago.
Keith Clemens, the Loyola point guard, was the point guard on a national junior college champion team at Vincennes last year, and as Shane said, he had 28 points in the game, but he was Loyola's only double-figure scorer. Cameron Krutwig, runner-up to Larry Bird Player of the Year, had only 9 points on 3 of 9 shooting. He did have 11 rebounds. For Valparaiso, as they made the 10 three-pointers, 15 for Ryan Fazekas, all from behind the arc. He was 5 of 8 from 3. Sackey, as Mike said, with 13. John Kaiser, and a one-time walk-on, one of the seniors on the Valparaiso team, 12 points. He had that big block at the end to kind of save it for him, and then Donovan Clay, who made the all-freshman team, he was their leading scorer last Tuesday night against the Bears, 10 points and 8 rebounds. So quite a stunning outcome in that one. The only game that went kind of according to form was the 2:30 game this afternoon, and that's the 4 versus 5, which is just about a coin flip. Bradley defeated Southern Illinois 64-59.
Well, exactly, and in that game, you know, Bradley, Charles is still making his way back off the wrist injury, and at times he's also capable of being in foul trouble. They do have depth at the 5 spot and the 4 spot with a couple of 7-footers that can also play with Childs, and you never know. Darryl Brown obviously can have games. We know Cannell's a good shooter, but they were able to outlast in a very good defensive game today the SIU Salukis.
So we've got one semifinal set for tomorrow at 2:30 between Drake and Bradley, and then Valparaiso at 5 o'clock tomorrow will play the winner of this game between the Bears and Indiana State. And as we've said a couple of times, these teams split head-to-head during the regular season. Bears lead the all-time series with the Sycamores 48-26. It's their most wins over any Missouri Valley Conference opponent. They've beaten both Northern Iowa and Drake on 44 occasions. Indiana State timed the other one by 2 points at the buzzer, and then they had the stinker at Valparaiso. But they really only had one bad game in the last 8. Of course, next bad game is the last bad game for either of these teams. I see where Joe Lenardi, who was our halftime guest in one of the games at Charleston, he works for St. Joseph's University, which was one of the other tournament participants there way back in November. Even with the outcome today, still has Northern Iowa as one of the last 4 teams in the Missouri Valley, or in the NCAA tournament. They were number 37 on the NET at the start of the day, so Northern Iowa played themselves right onto the bubble, but they may still find themselves on the right side of it come Selection Sunday next week.
And again, that may all depend on 5 or 6 random games and 5 or 6 random conferences where you have bid stealers come in, where teams that have a little better credentials maybe than the Panthers that are lower than that 37 net, and end up someone else steals that bid. So, yeah, they're going to be in a tenuous situation here next week. Obviously, the Panthers and Coach Ben Jacobson are going to want all the favorites to win in all the conferences, particularly the ones ranked higher than the Valley.
So the Bears' history now in this tournament, in over 30 years, you're going to have some peaks and valleys. They did very well in the tournament for a number of years. The way it's leveled out now, their all-time record in St. Louis is 31-28 in this event. They've been in the finals 8 times, only won it once, and that was in 1992, their second year in the league. The last time they were in the finals, 2011, and that, of course, was, as we mentioned earlier, the lost Indiana State. But, Mike, the more recent history has not been good. The Bears have been past this game, the quarterfinal, only 2 times in the last 9 years. Before that, they were almost always at least to the semifinals, if not the finals.
Exactly, and participants, as we say, on the weekend, and this team in the last 8 games, not a good effort against Valpo, but the previous 7, Bears won 5 of those, and of those remaining 7, Bears won 5 of those. Should have, could have, would have won the other 2, went into overtime as well as getting beat at the buzzer. So could come in here on a 7-1 record. Very easily could have done that. 5-3 will take, just because the level of play is on the upswing. Better ball movement, better player movement on the offensive end, better transition defense, the defensive end, and we've reconnected with our rebounding ability. Bears were really good in the non-conference, rebounding the ball, particularly offensively, and that slipped away a little bit when conference play started, but the Bears now have done a much better job offensive rebounding. They have 71 more in conference play, 71 more offensive boards than their opponents, and they've got 100 more shots in than their opponents in conference play, and a lot of that is due to retrieving the ball off their misses and getting another opportunity.
The Bears have won at least one game in this tournament, 22 of their 29 years that they have been in it. And of the 7 times they've gone 0-1, 4 of them been in the last 10 years. Last year they lost in this quarterfinal round to Bradley, which went on and won the tournament. 2018 they were in the play-in. That was one of the other years they were picked first preseason, and they did win the play-in, but then lost to SIU. They made it to the semis in 2017, only to lose to Wichita State their last year in the conference. 2016 was lost in this quarterfinal round to Evansville. 15 they lost in the play-in. So the recent history has not been good. Before that it was. They're 16-11 all-time in the quarterfinals, and trying to avoid the fate of going out one and done, but trying to continue the string of upsets that we've seen happen so far. We should also mention the play-in games last night. Now, Drake defeated Illinois State 75-65, and then in the late game it was Valparaiso 58-55 over Evansville. So Valpo barely got out of the play-in, and then they just upset Loyola, as we've been telling you. For Evansville, they go 0-18 through the league and then lose their first-round game in the tournament. The last time a team went 0-18 through this conference, Drake, back-to-back years, 97 and 98, they went 0-18. One of those years, though, they won their play-in game at least, and the other year they didn't, but that's going back a long way. It's kind of hard to go 18 games and not win one, but Evansville managed to do that, plus 19 in the tournament.
Well, in Evansville, 3 different coaches this year. Finally, Todd Licklider named the permanent head coach, and Walter McCarty off to a 9-4 start, beat Kentucky at Kentucky, and Purple Ace fans really, really excited about the season. They go 9-4. All that happens, and he gets suspended, then eventually gets fired, and the Ace is not able to recover from that. Interim head coach, and they brought Todd Licklider, who was the associate head coach last year, chose not to return this year, but came back as the permanent head coach, as the new head coach, and still not able to notch a win here. Purple Aces, and unlike that area, which is a basketball rabid fandom, hosted the Division II national tournament for years and years and years. Still this year, off a 9-win season, still had one of the best averages for home attendance in the conference.
Yeah, they did. So that has proven to be a well-supported program. Now, as for Indiana State, their all-time record in this tournament is not good. Of course, they've been in the league longer than the Bears. They're 26-36. They won the championship in '79. Well, that was the year they had Larry Bird and went to the NCAA finals, only to lose to Michigan State. They also won the tournament in '01 and in '11 at the expense of the Bears. The only teams with worse records in this tournament are Valparaiso, and they've just been in the league 3 years, Drake and Evansville. So not a good record for Indiana State, but more recently, and this is of more significance probably tonight, they've won 4 games in a row. Greg Lansing, in his 10th year as coach, he's 166 and 153.